Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway, our Beltway boxing news and notes for this week. And we went to be kind of light this week, and not a whole lot going on as we get ready for what should be an outstanding May. We talked about that in detail last week. But this week, just we're going to have a couple of recaps. We'll give you an entire preview of the Regional Golden Glove Championship that'll take place on Friday evening here in Rosecroft Raceway, and we have another event that we're going to announce coming up this week as well. Beltway Boxing News and Notes were brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain and everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, where you can get that outstanding boxing glove pendant that she has on sale. And with your first purchase, you get 20% off that purchase, and shipping is free. So that's Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, a couple of recaps this past weekend. One was a good win. The other one was a tough loss. We're going to start with a tough loss first. And not only was it a tough loss for Damon, the best at Nicholson, the super middleweight out of Laurel, Maryland, it was also a very confusing and very weird situation that took place at the Licouris Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Damon Nicholson lost by 7th round TKO to Jesse Hollywood, or Hard Work, whatever he wants to call himself this week, Hart of Philadelphia. And that was in front of a nationally televised audience at ESPN. Hart won the vacant NABF Super Middleweight Championship in this bout. Now, Hart had an advantage going into the bout. He had a 3-inch height advantage. The reach was exactly the same, pretty much, according to the ESPN stats. And Nicholson was having a tough time until the very last moment of the first round, when he managed to hurt Hart with a nice right hand right before the bell rang. So really, really nice shot by Damon Nicholson. So he thought he was on his way. And actually, through most of the fight, Nicholson fought very well, as did Jesse Hart. The major part of the confusion and why this bout was so weird came from the referee in the contest. His name is Sean Clark. Now, Clark normally is a very good referee, and I've heard a lot of great reports about him. I've seen a couple of things that he's done, but on April 28th, he was totally atrocious. There's just no way about that. Here's how. Number one, in the third round, Nicholson and Hart got into a little bit of a tangle. Nicholson seemed to trip on Hart's foot, and he fell onto the canvas. During that exchange, Hart threw a right hook. It was a wide right hook, and he missed Nicholson. But Clark still called that a knockdown against Nicholson. I could not believe it. It was ridiculous. And then later in the third, Hart did land a series punch that did indeed legitimately drop Nicholson to the canvas. Now, throughout the bout also, Hart was hitting Nicholson behind the head, and Clark never once warned Hart for hitting behind the head. And again, in this day and age, you just can't do that. I'm sorry. It just cannot happen right now. So Nicholson held his own through the middle portion of the fight. He landed uppercuts, some body shots. In the 7th round, Hart swarmed Nicholson with some hard punches. He sent him to a squatting position on the canvas. Nicholson's gloves actually did touch the canvas, which rules a knockdown. Now, originally when I saw this, I thought that Clark was in front and should have seen Nicholson touch the canvas with his gloves. However, as I looked at it again, he was actually behind the situation, behind the play, and could not see Nicholson drop his gloves on the canvas. So Clark missed that and did not rule knockdown. Hart continued his onslaught in the 7th round. He dropped Nicholson again. Clark called that a knockdown, and he gave an 8 count. And actually, Nicholson squatted to the canvas basically again, but he was legitimately knocked down. There's no question about the knockdown. But at the end of the 8 count, he asked Nicholson to get up. Now, normally, if a fighter cannot get up, you move on to 10, and it's a knockout. But for some reason, Clark asked him to get up. I don't understand that. Nicholson stayed down. Hart did not continue his count, and that gave Nicholson a few extra seconds to recover. But when Nicholson did get up, That's when Clark waved off the bout. So it was really bizarre. I saw where Greg Serb, who is the commissioner in the state of Pennsylvania, former head of the American Association of Boxing, the Association of Boxing Commissioners, talked to Clark about that. I don't know what he said, of course, but he definitely gave him a conversation behind that. And it was just a bizarre situation. Didn't make any sense. And the bout was waved off near the seventh round. End of the seventh round, the bout was stopped at 2:26 of the seventh round. So Nicholson is now 18-3-1, 17 KOs. And I think this was a tough loss for him. Not only because it was so confusing and all, but as good as he did fight, and Nicholson did fight a pretty good bout in this contest, he still got knocked out, basically. I think it'll be time for him to kind of retool a little bit, maybe fight some bouts here in the Beltway area again, just to get himself back on the winning track before he goes up again. I mean, 2 of the 3 bouts that he's lost have been by knockout. One never should have happened. That was against Leon Byfield. The other one against Steve Rolls was a split decision loss, which quite frankly could have gone either way. And I thought Nicholson did fight a very good fight in that bout. But this one is tough. It really is. It's tough because we have no idea where Nicholson should be in his career at this point. Is he still a viable prospect? Is he still a contender for the super middleweight championship? It remains to be seen. I think, again, he's going to have to retool a little bit to get back on track. Hart, meanwhile, is 24-1, 20 KOs. He's supposed to have a rematch against the guy he lost his championship, not his championship, but lost the opportunity for a world championship too. So we'll see what happens there. So tough break again for Damon, the best at Nicholson. Meanwhile, over at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, Arizona, the Uzbek Warrior, Zavbek Nishanbaev out of Arlington, Virginia, scored a first-round TKO over Cordell Powell of Las Vegas, Nevada, on Saturday, April 28th. Nishanbaev went to work early. He battered Powell with hard shots. The onslaught just proved to be too much for Powell and his corner to witness, and they told referee to stop the contest, which referee did at 1:32. So Nishanbaev, who, as I said, goes by the Uzbek Warrior, but I know his handlers over at Raw Assassin Gym are also calling him Triple Z. So, which is weird because his last name begins with an N. So I don't understand that. But anyway, he's now 4-1, 2 KOs, and Powell drops to 0-2, and he suffered both his first round, both his knockouts, both his losses, I should say, by first round knockout. So that's the recap from last week. Really, the only big thing going on this week is indeed the 2018 Regional Golden Gloves Championships. That'll be on Friday, May 4th at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. Now, before we tell you about the card itself, let me remind you that I know I have another engagement early that evening. I will probably be at Rosecroft late, but I hope to get as much as I can on the air for you during that evening. If it's nothing but a post-fight wrap-up show for myself and Warren Marshall, we'll give you something. And so we'll see what happens. But this year's Regional Golden Gloves take on a kind of a new look, and unfortunately, it's not a great look. Should be some great bouts, but the open division is the major key in this because the open division, the winners in the open division in the Regional Golden Gloves between D.C., Maryland, Delaware, and versus Virginia, North Carolina. The winners go to the National Golden Gloves Tournament Champions in Omaha, Nebraska. That'll be May 13th through the 20th. However, we already know 4 boxers who will be in the national championships because they advanced to the nationals unopposed. And again, it's tough because you want to get the best bouts out there, and we want Virginia, North Carolina. But apparently, what happened down in Virginia, North Carolina Golden Gloves, and this was both in Springfield and in Norfolk last couple weeks. They couldn't fill a full squad. So I know they had a lot of what they call matched bouts, which means you match up one guy against another guy the same weight or same, basically the same experience level. And that's what happened during a good portion of the Virginia, North Carolina Golden Gloves, and that just didn't do well. So 4 boxers will all advance to the nationals. Kevon Cook out of Washington, D.C., he advanced at 108 pounds. Dwayne Holmes Jr. out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland at 123 pounds. Thomas Mottinger, TJ, out of Salisbury, Maryland at 201 pounds. And now I think they kind of had an inkling that might happen. I remember talking to both TJ Mottinger and his coach, Hal Chernoff, who just went into the Maryland Boxing Hall of Fame. And they kind of figured that might happen. And the other one is Malik Titus out of Baltimore, Maryland. He wins at 201 plus pounds. And quiet as it's kept, Titus has a pretty good record as far as the regional Golden Gloves. He's won 2 straight titles now at the regional championships at 201 plus pounds. He was champion in 2017, and now he's champion again this year. He also was the regional champion, open champ, at 201 pounds, both in 2014 and 2015. So Malik Titus, I mean, some of his bouts he didn't compete, but some he did, and he ended up winning. So it's very interesting. So Malik Titus, a 4-time regional Golden Gloves champion, and you can't take that away from him at all. So that's fantastic. Now, there are going to be a few marquee matches in the open division, and the majority of them feature the Avalar brothers, Wilfredo, Tommy, and Brian. Now, Wilfredo is in, I think, the marquee bout of the open division. And an interesting bout because it matches up the man who was the defending 141-pound champion in the Open Golden Gloves last year. And that's Wilfredo Avalar out of Germantown, Maryland. And he'll take on the guy who was the 132-pound champion in 2016, and that is Nick Sullivan out of Portsmouth, Virginia. Now, Nick Sullivan tried to regain that, but he went up against Keyshawn Davis. And, of course, Keyshawn Davis went on to win a National Golden Gloves in 2017. But Nick Sullivan, who has been a regional champion before, he will take on Wilfredo Avalar at 141 pounds. And that is probably the marquee matchup of the open division. Meanwhile, Wilfredo's brothers, Tommy and Brian Avalar, all out of Germantown, Maryland, they'll all try to win a grand total of 3 regional titles this year. Tommy Avalar takes on Andrew Duke of Fredericksburg, Virginia at 132 pounds, while Brian Avalar will battle Kelvin Davis at Norfolk, Virginia at 152 pounds. Kelvin Davis, to my knowledge, is no relation to either Keyshawn or Keon Davis. Although he's also from Norfolk, Virginia, which is where the other Davises are originally from. But I don't think they are related. I have to double check it, but I don't think they're related. Also in the open division, Keon Burrows, who boxed out of the Andrews Air Force Base, he originally from Washington, D.C. He'll be the 165-pound championship against Christian Salinas of Hampton, Virginia. Now, Burrows has dropped down in weight from 2017. He competed in the 178-pound division in 2017, and he got beat by Jake Plana that year. So he's back down to 165 pounds. In the 178-pound class, Esri Turner, the only open division person from Dover, Delaware, he'll take on Terrian Rogers of Richmond, Virginia at 178 pounds. So that's the open division. Remember, the winners go to Omaha, Nebraska, May 13th through the 20th. Meanwhile, the novice division, we have one regional champion that is unopposed. That's Oscar Morales of Germantown, Maryland. He won at 114 pounds. A couple other the bouts on here. Brent Rodriguez of Kensington, Maryland at 123 pounds takes on Ishmael Bennett of Richmond, Virginia. He'll be at 132 pounds. Isaiah Harris of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, meeting Jeffrey Yu of Oakton, Virginia. 141 pounds. Dominic Fantazzo of Washington, D.C. He's had a good tournament throughout the Washington Golden Gloves. He had a good Washington and regional Golden Gloves. He'll take on Keyshawn Horn of Raleigh, North Carolina. It'll be Quentin Stevens of Accokeek, Maryland, 152 pounds, taking on Joan Planas of Manassas, Virginia. Not to be confused with Cenk Plana, who I just talked about. This is Joan Planas of Manassas, Virginia. 165 pounds, the only Delaware representative in the novice division, Moses Salem of Dover, Delaware, at 165 pounds, takes on Stephen Tyson of Arlington, Virginia. The guy that I'm waiting to see probably more than anybody else in the novice division, because he's had an outstanding novice championships thus far. At 178 pounds, Joe Chachunji of Silver Spring, Maryland. He'll take on Rashid Bynum of Portsmouth, Virginia. And I believe Joe Chachuni has knocked out just about everybody he has faced. He advanced by unopposed by walkover into the regional finals. But everybody else, he is knocked out. I mean, he is stopped like second, third round. So he's had a great tournament. 201 pounds, Jermaine Harbert of Waldorf, Maryland, taking on Giovanni Suderi of Ashburn, Virginia. And at 201 plus pounds, it'll be Zachary Chick of Galena, Maryland. I believe he's out of a gym in Delaware, but he's from Galena, Maryland. He'll take on Jimmy Spiros of Great Falls, Virginia. And Jimmy Spiros has been in the novice championships a number of years, has not gotten over the hump yet. So maybe he can get over the hump this time against Zachary Chick. That's 201 plus pounds. So that's the lineup for the Regional Golden Gloves. Remember, it'll be Friday, May 4th. First bout begins at 7:30. I may be there a little late, so we'll try to get you at least the Open Division Championships as best we can. Coming up on May 4th. So that's Friday, May 4th, 7:30 p.m., Rosecroft Raceway, Fort Washington, Maryland. Now, like the Washington Golden Glove Championship, they were dedicated to legendary trainer Dave Jacobs. The regionals will be held in memory of another legendary trainer we just lost recently. That is, of course, Bernard Roach Jr. Again, two great guys and just wonderful people. And Bernard Roach died very young. 52 years old. It was stunning. He really was. And Jacobs, he'd been ill for a little bit, but again, that's definitely a heavy loss because he again is one of the founding fathers of the Beltway boxing scene. So we'll see. But again, the regionals dedicated to Bernard Roach Jr. Now, as we close, we got one event we got to tell you about coming up May 11th. That's Friday, May 11th at Enigma Boxing Gym, which is located at 9100 Edgeworth Drive in Capitol Heights, Maryland. It'll start at 8 o'clock, and this is the open workout for the entire Russell family. That includes, of course, Gary Russell Jr., WBC featherweight champion, who is preparing for his bout on Saturday, May 19th against Joseph Jojo Diaz, number one contender, and the undefeated himself. And of course, Antonio Russell, and Antoine Russell also be at this workout. It'll be open to the public. It is free and open to the public. Friday, May 11th at the Enigma Boxing Gym. Once again, that's 9100 Edgeworth Drive, Capitol Heights, Maryland. Start at 8 p.m., go to about 9:30 p.m. coming up on Friday, May 11th. So it's during the weekend, so no reason why you cannot be there to be there. So should be an outstanding situation. And again, this is the way the fans can come and meet the Russell family and see them work out and see them get ready for a big night on Saturday, May 19th. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll give you a full week preview, I should say, of everything that goes on Saturday, May 19th. Of course, that's a split scene. Now, and according to what I've been hearing, the Russell fight will be the first bout in the split scene for Showtime. In other words, it's showing this bout from MGM National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland on May 19th. And then from the Air Canada Center in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it'll be Adonis Stevenson defending his WBC light heavyweight championship against former super middleweight champion Badu Jack. So that'll be also on May 19th, and Showtime will show that card. And it looks like they'll show it after we get finished in Oxon Hill. So we'll see what happens. We'll tell you more about that as we go along. So that's, once again, the workout is Friday, May 11th at Enigma Boxing Gym in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Hope you can be there for that one. No question about that. But that'll do it for a very brief News and Notes podcast. And of course, next week, we have a lot of big things going on with so many things happening on May 11th. We have a number of bouts on May 11th. We're scheduled to be at the Dulles Sportsplex in Sterling, Virginia on Saturday, May 12th. For a card out there. And then, of course, May 19th, the big one at MGM National Harbor. So May is going to pick up very, very quickly in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you're with us all the way. Subscribe to the podcast on iHeartRadio and on Spreaker.com. Make sure you download the Box on Beltway Google app for Android. Tell your friends to do so. And, of course, you can always email me. Always catch me on Twitter at Digital25. That'll do it here for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes, brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Don't forget, you go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, where you get the outstanding jewelry. First purchase is 20% off plus free shipping at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thank you very much for joining us, and always remember, keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing on the Beltway. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.